Hello friends, my name's Rocky Outcrop. Jamie's brother, Jamie Tradespot, great guy that he is, has invited me here to talk about the RSI for a few minutes. The RSI is an indicator. It's also known as an oscillator, sometimes referred to as a momentum oscillator, and it's one of those squiggly lines that appears below or above the chart when you're looking at it. And what people try to do when they look at it is to say, can we learn anything more about the price information from these squiggly lines which are derived from the price information? What does that mean? Well, effectively, you're looking at this thing and you're saying, I can see the prices moving up and down, and that means something to me. But I also know that there's some meaning within the relationship between those prices, which maybe if I only had a really cool algorithm calculator thing, it could work out for me and show me in a way that I understand. Boom, there you go. That's what these indicators are for. RSI being a particularly good one. What does RSI stand for? Really stupid indicator? No. RSI stands for Relative Strength Index. Index because it is between 0 and 100. That's something that we'll explore when we actually look at it in just a second. I'll bring up charts and we will look at it. But it's also about the strength, and the strength in this case really is to do with the differential in the current price of the chart, of the candle that we're looking at on the chart, compared to the previous opens and closes. Just that differential. That's what strength means. And relative is that component where you're looking back through time. Brilliant. So that's what this is. It was invented in like 1970 or so by a guy called J. Wells Wilder Jr. Really, really top grade mathematician, trader, good stuff. And as such, it's actually been adopted by people for a long time and used as part of their trading. So here we are in the charts. Now, what is this chart beside me just here, you're asking? That's the SPY, the S&P 500. It's an index, that word again, of the top 500 companies in the United States. What does that word index mean? Well, in this context, what that really means is that we've just kind of taken all the prices of all those shares, added them together, divided them by the amount of companies that there are in that list, and come up with a kind of overall average, which is a good way of seeing what the overall value of an economy is. And there we have it. And that's the S&P, Standard and Poor. That's their index. And we're going to look at that with the Relative Strength Index, which of course refers to the 0 and 100 aspect of it. Okay, excellent. Nice one. Now, it's not truly an index, people would argue, mathematicians out there, but that's going to leave them to argue these things. And here we have the charts floating towards the top side. Stonks only go up, bro, don't we know it? And there are a number of things you can use the Relative Strength Index for, and here it is down below. Okay, so I'm just going to make it full screen for a second, and you can see there's a lot of different information on there. Now, I'm going to hide that information off to make this a little bit easier for you all to kind of follow along with what is going on in the show. So we have the actual plot line of the RSI itself. I'm taking literally everything off here so you can see what it is that we're looking at. So you've got the plot line of the RSI. That is the RSI itself. The calculation that goes into this forms that line. Then we have these bells and whistles, such as this RSIEMA. So that's an electronic exponential moving average. You don't need to understand what that is. It's just an average of the RSI itself. The RSI could be described as an average. So it's like an average of an average. That's maybe you think redundant. No, it's not actually. What you're looking at is the relative movement of the RSI versus its own history, i.e. when the RSI is above the moving average, it's positive. When it's below the moving average, it's negative in a trending sense. More recent information is acting more strongly in that direction than the historical information. Hence trend, right? Then you also have, of course, a few other lines. Now, these are kind of decorative purposes, and they straddle the lines that I have up and down below. All of them really, apart from this middle line here, which is of extreme importance in a sense that shows you where the neutral part is. The neutral as in terms of, if it's below that middle line, it's kind of bearish. Above that middle line, it's kind of bullish. That comes in there at 50. Like I say, this thing goes from 0 to 100. That's about 50. So generally speaking, prices above that middle line, bullish. Prices below, bearish. Often we'll see tests of that line. Okie dokie. And that's in about the middle of the chart there. Then we've got these two other zones, the bullish and bearish control zone there. And that is us back to where we started off from. The bullish and bearish control zone show you when the prices are in an area of extreme bullish momentum. Of course, there's been a good degree of strength to get us up to that point. Therefore, things are looking pretty good. This is when things can also start to look a bit frothy. Frothy being that term that means there's not necessarily that much support underneath what you're looking at. What goes up must come down, as they say. When things go up towards that 100 area, you can maybe anticipate a turnaround in the markets. What goes down must come up. They don't say that so often, but when you go down towards that trough, you might be looking at having valleyed out, and perhaps you'll be seeing a peak coming in again soon, perhaps associated with a bounce in the price action itself. Bringing up the charts then and making a little bit of a comparison here. I'm going to wrap up this little section in the next minute or two, because this is an introduction to the RSI, showing you what we're looking at and giving you an idea of how to use it without too much detail. If you do want that video though, I've made it already on my channel in my education playlist. Very good, very good. Exactly the same as this really, but with all the detail on top. Again, looking at the SPY. Few interesting things to show us. Could you have perhaps predicted in any way using the RSI that there could have been a turnaround here before the big crash last year, with the words that we can't say on YouTube happened, and of course then we went into lockdown and whatever, and the big crash happened? Could we have at all? Well, if we look back at the highs that were running up to that area, just kind of generally speaking, whoa, my gosh, there's so many drawings on there. Sorry, I'll just ditch everything in the bin for now. If we look at all those highs there, we can see that there was of course corresponding kind of movement up the way in this section for sure, but then in this section there was a difference as we were coming up to those peaks, and then we dropped down. Big difference in terms of not putting in highs while we put in highs up above on the price action. That sort of thing you can use it for. That's called divergence. Then of course there's our other ideas, like would we see a bounce at the neutral line? We've covered this idea already. As we can see, that's where we actually got that market low as well. Big drop down December 2018, you might remember. And then coming on up then to where we are most recently, a common question that's being put out there is, Rocky, we're seeing the highs going up, we're seeing the divergence there down below. Why do we continue to keep on going up in the face of that? And what we can also see alongside this is these lows. If you look in trend and price action, there's your trend, and you're looking for divergences on the RSI. You're looking for classic divergence there. That would be if in an uptrend, bearish divergence, like we spoke about just here in the lockdown crash. That if you're looking for the hidden type of divergence, which is known as continuation divergence, you're looking at the lows in an uptrend. Incidentally, you'd be looking at the highs in a downtrend for the hidden type. So the hidden type here that we're looking for is on the lows. Looking at those lows just there, we can see that we've actually had instances, well, maybe not so clear on that 24-hour time frame. We've certainly had instances here. Let's just jump down towards the 4-hour time frame. For example, just here between these last two lows on the chart just here of hidden bullish divergence. When we saw a pullback, we then pushed up a little bit higher, putting in a bit more bearish divergence. This is the sort of thing that you do see, of course, all the time. Check it out. I've got a bigger video explaining all this, and Jamie will be back here shortly for you. That's 8 minutes. I hope that was helpful. And indeed, my name's Rocky Outcrop. I have my own YouTube channel. You can check it out sometime. I'm Jamie's brother. Much love to the guy though. He's my favorite technical analyst. You're not making a mistake at all tuning in to watch him live. He is absolutely a phenomenal chap. Right, thank you so much. I'll be seeing it. Cheerio for now though.